officially start. And again, also for everybody who maybe came a little bit later, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. Welcome to the launch event of the INSCYD College. We do have a poll here, a question for you, and I think we also have the chat function, right? So please feel free to send messages here. I'm just doing it so you know where to find it. Should be on the bottom right for you guys. Okay. Okay. So INSCYD College. Let's get straight into that. The INSCYD College is. So sorry. Seems like I have some technical stuff here. Sorry for that. My apologies. Normally, we should have had this figured out before. Let me do this here very quick. Okay, let's try again. Okay, here we are. My apologies for that. So, INSCYD College, what is the aim of the INSCYD College? What are we actually trying to do here? We want to bridge the gap between scientific knowledge and its application in training. That's the overarching idea. And I would like to explain a little bit how we aim to do that and what is in there for you. Here's one thing how this could work is by someone, in this case it could be us, providing you with learning examples, okay, providing you with scientific findings, something like, hey, here is XYZ interval training program and it did ABC in this group, in this cohort of athletes, and therefore, hey, you might want to go out and try that. This is not our idea. Okay, very straightforward. We don't believe that this is the right approach because it is not teaching underlying principles and mechanisms. Instead, what you can expect from the INSCYD College is that we are going to teach and educate on underlying principles, like why, in this previous example, why did a certain interval training program trigger what kind of adaptations ever, okay? And therefore, the aim of the whole college is to empower you to apply this knowledge instead of copy-pasting it, applying it, adapting it, and modifying it as needed for specific scenarios that you experience working with athletes. That's the whole idea behind it. Let me give you one example here. That's a real screenshot from some of the college content. Okay, this is actually some of the stuff we have done several on-site full-day workshops, masterclasses on. This one here in particular is showing the reduction of glycolytic energy supply during a 30-second all-out sprint. So that's something we're going to show, but more importantly, we're going to then show why that happens. Like, what is the mechanism, for example, in this case on a muscular level, that creates this scenario, or that is responsible, so to speak, for that phenomenon that glycolytic energy supply is reduced. And then we are going to link it back to a practical application. What does that mean? To give you more examples here, to make it a little bit more tangible, what does that mean in terms of a racing scenario or training scenario? You can expect the INSCYD College in most of the learning units to be interactive and really engaging, and trying, again, here's just another example, to bring some, maybe say, exotic data to life. So for example, what you see here is a slide which allows you to understand creatine phosphate content of the muscle. So think about supplementation with creatine monohydrate, increasing creatine availability in the muscle, what does it actually mean? Like, what does it mean for something that most of us are more familiar with? And this is here, for example, the power output somebody can hold for a certain duration. So how does something a little bit more exotic or not so tangible, like millimoles of creatine phosphate in a muscle, relate to actual performance? That's what you're going to see here, or what you can expect. And with that, I want to hand over to Reinhard to tell us a little bit more why we do it this way.
Thank you, Sebastian. Yes, yeah, welcome from my side to this webinar. I want to take a minute to dive into the complexity of coaching a little bit. As you have seen in previous slides, the physiology part is, of course, an important one, especially in endurance sports. But not all. As a coach, you need to have more skills, a wider skill set, so to say. So you need also your communication skills. You're also involved in tactics and maybe developing pacing strategies. Also, the psychological part of coaching is very important. And last but not least, also as a coach, you have to sell your services to an audience. So also business development is really important. And the question here is, what type of resources can you use to develop all those skills, and how can you be more effective coach? So for that, you can, of course, participate in a course or in other learning content. And as you can see on this slide, there's different types of learning content available around. So you have maybe the first thing, your own experience, or maybe a former athlete and have good experience with a successful coach at your younger times. So that can be indeed a valuable source of information, very practical. And you see it that I've valued it very high with 5 stars on that characteristic. Time investment is not that much because you have already achieved that experience. You have already, you know already what that can provide you. But on the other side, the scientific basis for that information can be good and can be of a high quality, but it's not ensured. So therefore, a bit lower in these ranks. You have other options. You can take like a university course, and that's maybe the opposite type of learning. It's a formal learning for many years, full-time learning. So there's a huge time investment involved in this type of education pathways. Of course, as it's taught in universities, so the scientific background will be very well established. So from that part, it's 5-star type of learning experience. But what can be a bit tricky here is the practical applications, meaning that it's not always said that you learn in this type of courses to apply that scientific content into your specific coaching environment. So that translation from theory into practice in most cases. Other resources can be the scientific literature, of course, and that's a lot of information. I'm following every week, like let's say 100 titles every week of new scientific papers. So that takes a lot of time. It's a 3-star in time investment, but maybe a 5-star in reality. So it means that you need to invest a lot of time to go through all those titles and check for what type of information is really useful for your coaching business. Of course, it's science, so on that aspect, it's highly valuable, but the practical application can be sometimes very tricky. Coaching courses can be organized by sports federations, for instance, can be organized by other commercial providers of coaching courses. Normally, it's more practical, so the translation for, especially if you follow a course in your own sports federation, then the application of the information will be there, obviously, but most of the time it's like a 1-year course or a 2-year course. So again, a lot of time you need to invest here, and the scientific background is not always guaranteed. Then we have social media. Social media, we all consult social media. I think it's very popular to get those snippets of information. I would say a low time investment, but that depends a bit on your personal behavior on social media. And most of the time, very practical. So it's like a short video with an example or a quote or a testimonial of a successful athlete or a coach. But again, you have to be very careful about the science behind this information. In most cases, it's just like a hype or it's an advertisement, but not really scientific backed information. So be careful with that. And last but not least, and that's why we have created the INSCYD College, to give you a platform for high quality information that is, and that's in the DNA of the company, information that it's based on good science, but also not only for the theory, but also with the link to the application. How can you apply that information in your specific coaching context? And we try to keep the time options we have that you are able to manage your time investment in different types of learning units and courses. And with that, I will give the word back to Sebastian.
Thank you, Reinhard. Yeah, thanks for that overview and the context where the INSCYD College sits in this environment. I'm going to continue and give you a little bit more ideas about what you can expect. So we're going to dive a little bit more into the details here, okay? So the whole aim is, or let's say the belief is, that's maybe more the better word, the belief is that you can actually improve athletic performance through better knowledge. And that should be, if you think about it, pretty clear that if you have better knowledge about nutrition, about training, about recovery, that it will help improve athletic performance. And just also, if you look at the development of sports performance over the past decades, then you will, it will be easy to understand how important knowledge is and how much knowledge drove forward. For example, I would argue performance in professional cycling in the past years or the past decade. So what we want to do is we want to make the best. That's difficult maybe to judge, but especially the most relevant scientific knowledge. So expect that we want to filtered out scientific knowledge that is really relevant to performance. The next thing is, as Reinhard indicated, we want to make it actionable. So we want to translate it into something that is tangible and usable in the daily work. And what comes with that will be what we learned also will be for many people a little bit kind of myth-busting, and in some cases changing the paradigm of some of the beliefs. And we do have a poll here actually that Reinhard made up for that. So therefore the aim finally is to basically transform the coaching or support of athletes through better knowledge. And with that, I want to give you an overview, a little guide, so to speak, for a few minutes, what you can expect. You will see different learning units in the INSCYD College. We have something what we call a single lesson. A single lesson is an e-learning lesson about one specific topic. So for example, here's a screenshot is from a topic about glycolytic energy production, so energy metabolism, muscular energy metabolism. These single lessons are usually between half an hour and 1 hour long, and they are interactive, which means this is not just somebody sitting there presenting. It's a mix of different elements, of videos, of quizzes, of some animations, some text to read, all this kind of stuff, and is always comes with a learning quiz, right? The next part is, so to speak, the bigger brother or parent, you can say. The parent e-learning course is what we call a full course, which consists of several single lessons. Giving you a very practical example, we have a full lesson on energy metabolism, and that obviously consists of single lessons of the glycolytic system, the aerobic system, fat combustion, and so on and so forth. So these make one what we call a full course on a topic, and therefore it will take you about 3 to 6 hours to complete it. Obviously, None of these things you have to complete in one session, right? You can opt out and opt in anytime you want. Of course, these are also interactive and therefore have quizzes and yeah, quiz, or you can call it little tests, and they come with a certificate. I will show you an example on that. And then we have created something which we call focus lessons. Focus lessons are really short or relatively short learning nuggets, which are tightly related to what you see in INSCYD. So that's really short courses, 20 to maybe 15 sometimes only to 30 minutes long, related to INSCYD related topics like VLMX or FatMax or glycogen or stuff like that, and really about how you apply that data. So you could say the first two lessons I talked about are a little bit erring more on the scientific side, and these ones are erring a little bit more on the application side. They have both elements, both categories have elements of both, but in terms of like a tendency, right? So these are shorter and could be also seen as maybe the intro to a deeper dive into then, for example, aerobic metabolism course or something. And then we do have what we call virtual lectures. This is webinar style. So this is different in terms of how the learning content is presented. It's not interactive. It's a style of webinar where we have an expert on a specific topic, referring about that, showing you the slides and so on and so forth. Okay, so that is the 4 different types of learning units that you can expect, how you can consume the content. Okay, then let me explain categories. You can expect different categories with the start of the INSCYD College. This is, we have a whole category about muscle physiology, muscle fiber types, functionality of muscles, everything from, let's say, if you want to learn about the contraction cycle, gliding filament theory, to what I just mentioned, how much PCR is in the muscle and how much force it can create. How does it relate to cadence and cycling, for example? How to change muscle fibers by training, muscle fiber makeup, that's in there. Then obviously, that's our home turf. We do have a course on energy metabolism, as just mentioned, aerobic metabolism, creatine phosphate, lactate production, fat combustion rates, all that kind of stuff. I think there are 6 or 7 courses in there. Then we have one about, as Reinhold mentioned, business is an important piece. So this is everything from business strategies to high level best practices, creating a website, down to actual workshops. So actually hands-on stuff, search engine optimization, like really, not like, hey, it should be clear and readable, that kind of jazz, but really in detail applied, that you can really go in there and, improve the business side here of things. And then we have INSCYD Data Applied. So these are the focus lessons mostly about different metrics, different functions, like a training zone builder, which you see in the software, how to use it, what's the scientific background, so on and so forth. Then we do have master classes. So master classes are external experts coming in, giving a lecture on stuff. We have things about pacing in cycling. We have some stuff about altitude training and so on and so forth, okay? A little bit similar is coaching toolbox. What is a coaching toolbox? Well, the idea was you come in and say, I want to improve, but I really don't want to go 6 hours into scientific learning, right? I really want something hands-on that I can just look at and maybe solve the problem I have right now. And this is a coaching toolbox, okay? There's lectures of 45 minutes-ish about a specific topic really applied, okay? That's another category. And then we do have everything related to software training. So how to use the INSCYD software and testing. So it's kind of the onboarding courses, which will go through a major update, but also if you want to learn how can I use INSCYD testing in swimming and skiing and running, that's all in there. And maybe not a real category, but somewhat of a real category, there is something about coming soon. So you can already see what we're working on, what is in the pipeline, what is on the roadmap, what kind of topics, what kind of courses. And I can give you spoiler alert, that's something about training, adaptation, nutrition, and other stuff. Okay, so these are the categories. I wanted to give you a quick update or quick glance on the certificate. So we partnered with a third-party digital validation service for these kind of certificates, which is basically issuing the certificates. You only get them upon successful completion. That is on purpose because we want, we want these certificates to be of a value, so that athletes, for example, can really understand, okay, this guy really not only clicked through an e-learning course or sat through it, but really learned, what was that about and is really able to apply it. You can, however, repeat, obviously, a course or a quiz as often as you want. And we made it in a way that you can share it on social media, you can put it on your LinkedIn profile, you can put it on your website, download it, put it in your CV, and so on and so forth. And we only have the certificates for the full courses. Giving you some examples. Okay, now I'm going to give you some snapshots, and then I'm going actually into the college, so you can have a first-hand experience, because I see there's already some questions coming in. So, for example, we are covering, you could say, frequently asked questions or most wanted topics. So, example, okay, how do I determine what is my optimal VLA max for a certain athlete in a certain effort? That's a topic we touched on. Here's another one. How do you go from something like a simple power duration function to understanding, or how do you link that to what kind of muscle fiber types you have? So really, this is a quiz form actually, where you need to click and select, and it takes you to different questions, answers, and you get a feedback why that is. And with that, I'm going to jump into the college, hopefully here. Yes, okay. So I've prepared a few stuff so that, again, I just want to showcase that you have a better tangible understanding of what it is. So here we are in a course where we show you it's an overview about how different metabolic pathways are interconnected, and you can, as it is with like interactive stuff, you can change something on the slides and see how the interaction change. You have an explanation text. There's a voiceover that explains what you see, the context, right? So this is what you can expect in terms of the quality or the interactivity of things. Again, not just somebody sitting there explaining something, okay? This is an example of a quiz. This one is looking here, or a part of a quiz. This one is looking at the influence of acidosis on lactate values, and you have drag and drop stuff and other, and then you basically, oh great, I did it correct. So then you basically get the feedback afterwards, what was correct, what was not correct, so on and so forth. This one here is one of my favorite ones. This is an example on the interaction between training and nutrition, and how you can use it to change the phenotype of your athletes in terms of the fiber phenotypes. One of my favorite stuff here. Just to give you another example, it's in the course How Muscle Fibers Can Be Changed by Training. Here's another quiz to give you a better understanding. This is a focus lesson of VO2 max. What is a typical VO2 max of athletes? And then, similar to other stuff, again, you drag and drop it and you submit, and you do get the feedback. Here's an example of a masterclass. This is Marco Pinotti, who currently works for the World Tour Cycling team, JACO. Sorry, I'm not so good with the name, JACO something. He's an expert in time trialing, was a time trial himself, has a degree in engineering, have worked with several world championships, helped several people on, winning world championships and time trials. Here he shares knowledge about how you use lactate kinetics for race preparation and for pacing. And he actually, like here in this image, this is why I choose it, breaks down, the final hours before a race. So really hands-on shared ideas from people who are best in class in what they're doing. You will find the INSCYD College in your INSCYD app. You will see another page here, which is college. You have the course library, which is like the overview. The courses that you are currently signed up to or currently are in progress, you can see under my courses. And what I wanted to highlight is this my progress page. So on my progress page, you see basically all the courses which you signed up for. You can see how much time you spent, how many certificates you have, how many courses you have completed. So all that's your learning dashboard, you could say. And you can also from here download your certificates or share it on social media and stuff. So that was an overview about the college itself. And I think with that, I can hand over to Greg here.
All right. Thanks, Sebastian. All right. So I think one of the questions that maybe a lot of people watching this are thinking about, all right, why do we create this content and how's this going to apply to me? So I'm going to talk to you the business side of what we're doing and what you're all trying to do. And I think there's a few common threads that we can start to pull on. Struggling to sell and to market our businesses and services is really, really challenging. In fact, 80% of coaches list marketing as their number one pain point. So really what we set out to do with all of the content, and I'm talking specific to business, but I think the overarching idea is for all of the content that Sebastian's been talking about is how do we address pain points that are coming from the coaches that we interact with and try to address that in a way that's actionable and it allows you something that you can take away and do today, not 3 months from now, 6 months from now. So coming back to this, 80% of coaches say marketing is their number one pain point, followed closely by selling. Undervalue of our time and our services, overthinking, complicating the training prescriptions that we're going out there and handing off to our athletes. Really a deep concern with athlete retention. How do we make sure that my athletes stick around for more than 3 months, 6 months, 12 months? How do I get these athletes around for year to year? The goal is to maximize profits, right? That should make sense. And then a fear of raising our prices or starting too high is going to alienate our customers, our athletes. And how do we upsell them? How do we communicate the value of additional clinics or camps or services that we're going to sell them, whether it's a fit service or a testing service like we're talking about here? So INSCYD College sets out to address these primary challenges with actionable information and supplemental materials that you're going to be able to use straight out of the gate. So within the first 30, 45 minutes, hopefully there's going to be something there that you can take away and start to apply to your business. So we have business courses that range from business strategy for coaches and lab owners all the way to creating a website. So let me talk about these for a second. Business strategy for coaches. This is going to differ from just a business strategy book 101, talking about everything from a used car dealership to selling bicycles in a bike shop. This is specific to you, selling services, selling coaches to athletes. How do we communicate with our athletes? What do we do as part of the sales process when we're engaging new people? How do we get a referral engine going with our existing athletes? How do we get them communicating about us as a coach, telling their friends, telling other people about it? What are some of the things that we can do to help engage them like that? What are some best practices for creating a website? How do we simplify that and really give you actionable steps to help improve the performance of your website, get people on there, and get people, most importantly, asking the question of, hey, how do I work with you, Sebastian? I really want to use you as my coach. And then when we're engaged in that process, how do I go and navigate that process of communicating with that athlete and getting to the end point where, yeah, we decided mutually that this makes sense. Let's move forward. Let's engage. Let's have them begin to use my services, have that as a paying customer. So the idea is improve performance and grow our business simultaneously. Can this be done? The answer is yes. INSCYD business courses. So what we're talking about is information that's going to help you grow your business. This is going to be sales. This is going to be marketing. This is going to be negotiation with athletes. This is going to be decision-making, where to invest for growth in your business. Communication with your athletes. We get into a sales opportunity. What does that look like? How do we make sure that we have a defined next step? So instead of saying, all right, great, it was really nice talking to you. It seems like I might be able to help you achieve maybe a sub 4-hour marathon. Well, instead of just wrapping up there, let's talk about how do we get that person onboarded? So how do we close the loop, so to speak, in a way where that person doesn't feel like they've been pitched, they've been sold, but in a way that makes them go, yeah, I got to start working with this guy, Sebastian or Greg or Rhino, whoever that coach is, whoever you are. Okay. We want to make sure that we're doing that. Referral engine. I mentioned that before. How do we make sure that we're using our existing athletes to help us cultivate new business with other athletes? We have I think some really easy ways and really actionable ways to help you achieve that. Marketing strategy. So this ranges from website to social media to camps to clinics to races. What are you going to do in those different situations to help drive new business, to help build your brand, to help create brand awareness? And really, what is your unique niche? So are we going out there? Are we trying to sell our coaching service to anyone and everyone that might be out there in the endurance world? Or do we have a particular way in which we want to market and broadcast to a particular audience? We talk about that and we help you with that. Athlete retention, increasing revenue, profitability. And then, as Sebastian said, we're going to earn certificates throughout the way. I saw a good question here coming in about, is this tied to CEUs? So continuing education credits or units that you need to get per way of or by way of your governing body. So if you're in the US, it could be USA Cycling, USA Triathlon. This is something that we're working on. So if you want us to communicate with your national governing body, please reach out. My email is greg@INSCYD. So just reach out to us. I'll make sure that you guys have that in the chat, something that we can work with your federation with to make sure that there might be, I say might be an opportunity to get some CEUs. And then applying INSCYD to improve your coaching. Knowledge from the courses plus the use of INSCYD. So what we're trying to do is bring this full circle. So we have these courses, and then you take the INSCYD software and you bring those two things together. And what the goal is to really shrink the time it's going to take to see athlete improvements and allow you a more efficient way to grow your business, more effective way to engage customers, and really seeing the performance at the end of the day. So getting that athlete to go sub 4 hours in a marathon, sub 12 hours, let's say, in a full Ironman. Goals like that are now attainable. We can quantify that, we can see that, and we can present that to the athlete in a way where they can really see the value, the benefit of not only your service, but also what's happened over time. What are the trends looking like? Why are we prescribing a certain fueling strategy and pacing strategy? That all becomes very tangible and easy for that athlete to see. What do we know about our athletes? This comes back to who is our audience, who are we communicating with, and why. Number one goal of our athletes is, in working with a coach, is really the expertise that they bring. So with INSCYD College, what we're trying to do is really arm you with that level of expertise, those insights, that knowledge, to be the expert, to really understand everything from muscle physiology, as Sebastian talked to different ways in which we can help athletes with fueling strategy on race day. Confidence in what they're doing will give them a shot at their best result. So that could be a KOM that they're chasing. It could be a race day result. It could be something else entirely. Maybe they're trying to lose some weight and they want to see results. Okay, this is not quantified in FTP numbers. This is quantified in other ways. We know this from surveys with over 1,000 athletes. Seeking out new ways to save watts, generate power. So they're always out there looking at forums. They're probably coming to you saying, hey, I saw these new wheels. Should I invest $3,000 in these new wheels that are going to make me a little bit more aero? Maybe I'm going to save 3 watts. Is that the best way for them to save time when they're out there racing their bike? They're looking for accountabilities. They're looking for ways to stay on track. That's why they're focused on working with you. Most athletes do not have the luxury of time. So we need to be really precise with our prescriptions. We need to know that if we're going to pull on that lever is going to get the outcome that we're trying to achieve. Athletes are always being inundated with new products, new platforms, the latest and greatest widget, gadget. We need to focus on retention. How do we make sure that we're keeping our athletes around year after year? And we also know that athletes, they have a willingness to pay for coaching. So a lot of us are very fearful of raising our rates or maybe charging a premium. This not only sets us apart, but this is something that athletes are eager to do. And I use the word eager, but think about it. You're selling something that they perceive to be of high value. Why would we not provide that and charge them a premium for that service? All right, so applying INSCYD to improve our coaching. We're going to quickly identify areas for improvement for our athletes. Okay, that's the value of using INSCYD. We're going to be able to make physiological based decisions. Okay, so we're going to understand, as I mentioned with the levers, we know, do we want to increase the aerobic capacity? Do we need to decrease the anaerobic capacity of an athlete? Are we talking about a fueling strategy issue? Do we need to address that? We're going to be able to improve our business decisions. Okay, now we're armed up with the right way to approach sales conversations, the right way to create a website, search engine optimization, etc. We have confidence in our direction, right? So we've taken a lot of the guesswork out of it, whether it's, hey, I have this athlete in front of me, what lever, which dial am I going to be pulling on or toggling, all the way to business decisions. We're able to create this referral engine that I talked about. How do we make sure that our athletes are speaking highly of us and using them to help us drive new business? Generate additional revenue streams. How do we do this? Is it through testing? Is it through camps? Is it through clinics? Are there other things that we can do? And then boost retention up to 25%. That's a big thing here. We want to make sure that we keep our athletes around, leads to a more predictable business for all of us, and allows us to continue to grow the business.
I think with that, it's back to Reinhard.
Yes,
Thanks,
thank you,
Mike.
Sebastian and Greg. I've, as you might know, in coaching and in coaching practice, there exists a lot of what I sometimes call like pseudoscience. It's not really scientific based, but it's sort of scientific based. And I've created a small poll you can find in your dashboard to answer a question. And I would like to invite you to click on this question, and I give you like a 10-15 seconds to do. Is FTP a valid marker for anaerobic threshold? Is the question. And that's yes or no. There are two options to answer. And I'm curious to see the results of this poll. I'm not sure if that can be shown here already. So this question is based on something we experience when we talk with coaches. They use a lot of this so-called threshold, the FTP, the functional threshold power, as a metric to use for training zones, to create training zones, or to design training sessions. So I'm wondering if we have already a result of the poll. Igor, is it some? Can you show this, please? I'm not sure if this is happening. I hope this will appear one of the next seconds, but maybe I can continue already. So I'm really curious about your response. So yes, 11%, and the majority says no. I think the majority of this session has already learned a lot about the anaerobic threshold and how FTP relates to that. But indeed, you see, still a mixed response. And I would like to clarify a little bit with an example of a female triathlete. As you can see with a metabolic profile, anthropometrics, like 50 kilos body weight, 15% body fat mass, a VO2 max of 60, a VLMX of 0, maximal lactate steady state of 210 watts. If we use that metabolic profile to calculate how much power she can produce on a 20-minute maximal effort, then we get a number. I think, Sebastian, if you can show that number it's 284 watts. We all are aware about some kind of formulas to subtract the percentage of this power to estimate the anaerobic threshold. In most cases, it's like a 5%. We subtract from that number, and then we arrive at a so-called FTP of 235 watts. If you compare that with the numbers we have from our metabolic profile, it's way higher than the MLSS. So in most cases, FTP is indeed overestimating the real maximum lactate steady state. And that has been shown in the literature as well. In some texts, you might find good correlations, but still an overestimation. And if you see also as a percentage of the power at the maximal oxygen uptake, in this case, it's almost 90%. If we use a similar approach for a different athlete, this one, same body metrics, metabolic profile, somewhat lower VO2 max, somewhat lower VLMX. The maximal lactate steady state power output is exactly the same, but a 20-minute test reveals a different power number, which might seem logic given the lower metabolic power for lower aerobic power. But if you calculate the FTP and see how the percentages are from maximal lactate steady state and especially from the VO2 max, you see different numbers compared to the first athlete. And the big message here is that, of course, what the question was, it's not an equivalent for anaerobic threshold. But again, if you use FTP to calculate training efforts, then you can be really can arrive at different metabolic loads if you compare it to the maximal oxygen uptake. So you can't use it as a metric for training prescription or use it as a metric for designing training zones. And this is just an example to show that what can also be learned in the courses, what the meaning is of FTP anaerobic threshold, and that you can use those metrics in a more functional way. So as you can see, DNA, the science is really the DNA of the company and also of the INSCYD College. And that's something we don't do all by ourselves. We engage also experts from the field, researchers like Professor Sebastian Gaylor to help us with the muscle physiology course. And we have also some practitioners like Christophe de Kee, the Belgian team, Alpes in de Koning, cycling pro team, Alexander Torpel from German swimming, and Marco Penotti was already mentioned in this webinar from Team Bike Exchange JACO. So with that, I'd like to give the word back to Sebastian or Greg for the final messages. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Reinhard. Thanks a lot. We already had questions here in the chat, which we answered along the way. I'm hereby, so to speak, officially asking you to send more questions right now. So you've as we came to the end of the presentation, I hope that you have more questions for us about the college. And I would like to extend that request from questions also to requests, so to speak, right? That you might have for the college, or what were your expectations? While you put it here in the chat, I would like to answer a question from Ryan, who asked here about how much of the content information is applicable to different sports or disciplines, for example, cycling and running. That's a great question. In most cases, Ryan, the content and what you're going to learn applies across different sports. So most of the stuff is general across sports, and then you have specific topics like, for example, time trialing and professional cycle, or pacing and time trialing, or there's something coming about running economy, for example. It is obviously, as the name says, specific to a sport. On the other hand, for example, you should please, and that's for everyone obviously, should not get hung up by or not get hung up or getting blocked or shied away by a specific sport. So, for example, let's say what you might learn in the course about time trial pacing might apply to mountain biking. But more important, the course about altitude training and swimming, all the principles apply to any altitude training in any other sport. And I really can recommend that because Alex Turpel did his PhD on this topic, so he's really an expert and leads all the training camps with the German Swimming Federation, who was very successful in the latest Olympic Games also. So no, in general, most of the content is agnostic to the sport, so to speak, and therefore I really invite you to look at all that stuff. So yeah, there was a question again. Recorded? Yes, this webinar is recorded, and you can access it afterwards if you have problems looking at it. There's a question from Matt about the additional cost of INSCYD College. It's a great question. It's not straightforward to answer. There's a mix. We have a bunch of content, a lot of content, which is included in your INSCYD subscription, and there's some content that is extra that you need to purchase the courses on top of your INSCYD subscription. And then it also is a little bit tailored to, so to speak, on the level of your INSCYD subscription. So some subscriptions have courses included, which might be come as a premium for others. What we wanted to do and what we did here is that basic courses, for example, how to use the data you find in INSCYD and apply it in your business or in your daily practitioner life, these kind of things are included for free in your INSCYD subscription. And then if you, for example, want to take a deep dive into some specific topic, that depending on your subscription might come with a premium. Okay, what still we have? So yeah, that should answer the question from Sarah as well. So another good question is from Brian here. If you need to have an INSCYD account, or can you access the college content separately? As for today, you need to have an INSCYD account. So it's exclusively for INSCYD subscribers, for INSCYD users at this moment, which is also because, well, we want to, treat our business partners here well, and therefore it's at this moment it is exclusive for INSCYD users. In the future, the college will be able to access from outside without having an INSCYD subscription, but then obviously the price structure is different. So as an INSCYD subscriber, you do have more content included for free and discounted and so forth. Okay. So what other question do we have here? Please bring it on. Yeah, so Anna asked the same question, and I hope this answers the question. At the moment, you need an INSCYD account. In the next couple of weeks or months, you should be able. Great question from Thomas. So how long do you have access to the course? So you have access to every course for a minimum of 90 days. So within 90 days, you can look at the courses as much as you want. And then afterwards, you can basically sign up for an ongoing like 360, so a yearly access to that, to a much smaller fee. And I would like to explain this, Thomas, why there is a fee to access it for a longer time. That's basically because it's a third-party technology that we use for that, and we pay for everyone accessing or using the courses. It's about the technical hosting without going too much into detail. And therefore, basically, the only thing we're asking is, if you want, let's say, yearly access to go back to the course every time you want, we are just basically charging what it costs to us for this ongoing access. Mark, same answer. Currently, INSCYD College, only for users. You can sign up for a wait list, so we notify you as soon as this changes, as soon as it's available publicly. Yeah, a little question about the LT1 metric. Yeah, unfortunately, that's not part here of the college. That's a different launch, but yeah, LT1 is just a matter of weeks, I would say, until you will be able to use it across all tests here. Yeah, what else? Please bring up the questions. Okay, then in terms of the launch, you will have access to the college as we speak right now. So if you now would log in into your INSCYD account, you would see the college. It's activated. You can access all the courses. You can directly start with any course you like. That should be all working. If you experience any technical issues, then please let us know. But it's all been beta tested for a long time and so on and so forth. And so therefore, we don't expect any issues here. So feel free to go straight into your account and yeah, start learning and share your experience and your opinion about it. So with that, I'm asking for more question. Matt, LT1, yeah, lactate threshold 1. If that wasn't clear, that's something that we announced lately. So any more questions here from anyone, then please bring it up. Other than that, I would like to thank you for your attention. I hope you enjoyed this overview about the college and why we did it. There's one more question. Is there a notion of circulation levels here? Ryan, yes. Yes, good question. So Ryan is asking if there's, in my words, I would say some super certificate, so to speak, if you complete all courses. Yes, we want to do that. It's not there at this moment. It's not there at this moment, but that's something we want to do. So when the courses that are listed under coming soon are out there, we will likely have this kind of certificate, which is like the overall certificate for completion of all users, of all courses. And this would then also be called different, because then we would really call you an expert in these topics. And this would come with an additional level of certification here, maybe separate listing on the website and so on and so forth. CEU partners, we have been talking to several federations prior to this. As Greg mentioned, we are pretty far along that road. So we are looking to get approval for CEUs from USA Triathlon, USA Cycling, also talk to some German federations. And again, if there is a specific request in terms of, hey, I would like to use the INSCYD College for CEUs in my country, then please reach out to Greg at INSCYD.com or just to us in general, and we will start to take care of that. So a technical question from Ted. You just need to go back to the login screen, I guess. So just go to app.inscyde.com and try that. We recently, if you haven't logged in since like a couple of days, we recently had a major technical update on the platform. So you might need to empty the browser cache, and upon login, it might prompt you to do so anyway. Yeah, if there's any question or any technical questions about the college, then please reach out to our technical support helpdesk at inscyde.com. With that, thanks again, everyone. Invitation by email, Ronaldo. So everybody was able to see the college now in their account. You don't need to be invited into the course. You just go in there. There's a trailer video about each course, so you can understand what it's about. Here's a breakdown of the content and so on and so forth. So you should be able to paint yourself a very good picture about what you can expect from each course. Again, looking very much forward to your feedback. Because we have been working on that for a very, very long time. So I'm really hoping to get any kind of feedback you have, not only positive, to improve things. Currently, only in English language, to answer the last question here. Thank you very much. Have a great day and a great evening. Bye-bye.